Hey guys, I'm super excited to be able to show off the full 1.0 version of Solasta, Crown of the Magister. I just put a video of this up a few weeks ago, a month ago? It's been a little while. And I have played a decent amount since then. I didn't intend to. I intended to not play it hardly at all, in fact, before the full version came out. But I couldn't stop. I was having so much fun that I ended up playing all of this early access content, minus several side quests that I didn't hit on purpose, just trying to preserve some of the experience. And I'm here at last, able to show off. It's an early look at 1.0, so there are still some known issues and bugs. They sent a list over. I've reviewed the list. I will probably not remember the actual list itself, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show it. It's not a huge list, and everything on it is actually going to be fixed by the time you see this video and play the game for yourself, including several additional features and things that they're adding in for launch in a week that I don't have access to with this particular build. That said, this is a very close representation of what the game will be like in 10 days from when I record this. Tomorrow for you guys when I am able to upload it, and I wanted to show it off and do so now that I'm a little more familiar with the game myself. The first thing I'm going to do is I've actually deleted all my saved games and all my characters, and then to sort of jump back into things, I created 3 characters already: a human fighter, a hill dwarf cleric of the sun domain, and a half-elf wizard. Now, I'm going to create a 4th character. This is my plan, at least. I'm going to make a character right now and kind of take you through the options in character creation. And then I'm going to probably skip the tutorial. I believe there's an option to do so, but I haven't gotten that far yet to see if that's been implemented or not. If it is, I will skip the tutorial and jump straight to the game, where I'm planning on playing for a little bit offline, to preserve some of the story beats for you guys. But once I get to the point where I can start exploring like the first main area, the dungeon area that you can get to first, then I will jump back in, show you some of the mechanics, and explain how things work as I understand them. And I will hopefully be able to show off what makes this game absolutely amazing. Okay, so without further ado, let's make a new character. We start with race, or ancestry. And we've got a couple options here. I know I want to make a Sylvan Elf Ranger. I actually was going to make a rogue originally, but then in the early access I was playing with the Ranger, and I really like that character, so I'm going to do that again. Sylvan Elf is nice. They have 7 base move. Most classes only have, or ancestries only have 6 as a base, with, of course, some of the smaller ancestries having 5. Actually, what I'll do is I'll click on each of these. If you want, you can pause and sort of skim through and look at the features and sort of starting attributes that these character types have. Here's a snow dwarf. Here's half elf. Here's human. Boring, but very, very, very good. High elf. Sylvan elf. And the halflings, marsh halfling and island halfling. Okay, so I'm going to make a Sylvan Elf, and I'm going to go next. And here are the classes. You got cleric. You can edit equipment, of course, and start with a variety of different starting gear to match your vision for the character. You can click on the add higher levels, and I'll sort of like do this for all the classes, and let you see what some of the upgrading ability or upcoming features that the class will have. For clerics, you can pick domains, and they have several to pick from. Here's fire at level 10. Elemental ice, starting spells in your... I should mention, too, this is actually really neat about clerics. They have spells for their domain that are always prepared and don't count against the total number of spells you are allowed to prepare. So, like, for example, an elemental ice domain cleric always has Thunderwave, always has Fog Cloud at the ready to use, assuming they have spell slots with which to use them for the day. So here's level 2, 6, 8, and 10. Lightning, spells, level 2, level 6, level 8, and then I believe all of them have Divine Intervention at level 10. Sun, this is the domain I went with for my character because I really liked the spell. Actually, honestly, the spell list looks great for all of these domains. What really tickled me was I really like some of the abilities that this guy gets. Channel Divinity, Herald of the Sun is like a really neat ability that engulfs an enemy with light, blinding them and causing damage. At level 6, Indomitable Light, Channel Divinity to summon a sphere of sunlight, affecting light-sensitive creatures and negating areas of darkness. There's several creatures in the early access portion of the game that this will help a great deal against, but in every aspect of the game, being able to like just brighten up an entire area makes it really nice for a lot of your characters who maybe lack dark vision or whose dark vision doesn't extend as far as you'd like. Also, you can remove detrimental conditions from characters with Soothing Hand, and at level 8, you get a Divine Strike, an extra die 8 radiant damage on weapon attacks 1 time per turn. That struck me as being very good. Here's Battle, Battle Domain, Martial Weapon Proficiency, that's pretty cool. Decisive Strike, Herald of Battle, Scholar of Battle. Oops. Law, this is what I played with in the early access, and I really thought this was a really fun domain. They've changed a few things up here, but what made it really powerful early in the game, and I can't remember if I had it level 1 or 2, is this Force of Law. Channel Divinity, when casting an attack spell, you can impose disadvantage on your target's saving throw. That makes making things like Halt or Radiant. What is that Radiant spell? Actually, the Sun guy has it. Sacred Flame stick. A lot easier. Okay. Break the spellcasting concentration of an enemy. That's very cool. Anathema. Restrains a creature and inflicts force damage every turn. Wow. I honestly liked Will's Law so much I almost picked it, but I'm like, I really should pick something different. Life. Domain spells. A lot of healing in life. A lot of bonuses for life. I almost picked this actually, but I kind of wanted a more frontline fighting guy. Not that I couldn't have done both, but I just really liked Sun. Blessed Healer, Divine Strike. Oh, Divine Strike is actually from Sun also. Oblivion. This seems like something an evil character would probably go for, but maybe not. Herald of Pain, Peaceful Rest. While camping reduces the chance of being attacked and prevents from being surprised. Strike of Oblivion, necrotic damage in the first attack of your turn. That's pretty awesome. Mark of Fate. That seems really good. Level 1, you get these extra spells, Divine Intuition, and Inspired Diplomat. This would be your character you'd want if you wanted to have a talky guy. Divine Eye, Divine Lore, very cool. Okay, so that's Cleric. Fighter, you have martial art types. Actually, I believe immediately what you do is you can choose what kind of fighter to pick, which I'm going to pick next just to show that off. We'll get into this here in a little bit and what all this means. So let's do this. Optimize. For a fighter, you get to pick a fighting style right off the bat. Give me archery, giving you +2 bonus to attack rolls with ranged weapons. Defense, bonus to your armor class while wearing armor. Dueling, great weapon fighting. That's what I picked for my character. Protection, and 2-weapon fighting. Now, let me go back. On top of that, at level 3, you can choose a subclass. Champion, a Mountaineer, a Spellblade. Here's what Champion gets. Here's a Mountaineer gets. And Spellblade, which I did in the early access and was honestly a ton of fun. And I think I might do this again. Because I loved having frontline fighter guy that could just like throw burning hands. And hit like 3 guys if he was in position to do so. Spell Tyrant. Target a creature and move it 1 cell in any direction if it fails a strength save. Can be very useful. Champions. Your weapon attack score critical hits on a roll of 19 or 20. That's decent. Remarkable Athletes. Add your proficiency bonus and strength to climbing and jumping. Okay. Level 10. Choose a new fighting style option. Oh, okay. That's actually kind of neat. Well, we'll see. Level 3 is a ways away. Okay, so for Paladins, you got Sacred Oath. At level 3, you can choose Oath of Devotion, gaining these 2 abilities. Aura of Devotion. Friendly creatures in the aura cannot be charmed while you are conscious. That's probably very good. Level 3, when you gain this, you're going to gain Sacred Weapon, Turn the Unholy, and some spells you'll be gaining throughout the course of the game. Up to level 9, the level cap looks like 10, which is great. I think level 10 D&D is close to peak D&D. Anything over 12 or so I find to be... well, I guess I don't know about 5th edition. I think it's actually great. I would love to see more content from this game come out down the road, and that'll happen if we get good sales, and hopefully these guys can keep making more content for this. It's a great base that they've built here. Foundation. Oath of the Motherland. Channel Divinity, Fiery Wrath, Fiery Presence, Volcanic Aura. Friendly creatures gain fire resistance and extra armor class. That seems also very good. Oath of Tamir. Golden Speech, Scourge of the Hidden, and the Aura of Truth. Friendly creatures in the aura gain superior dark vision and +2 perception. Wow, all 3 of these seemed really good. Okay, Ranger, we're going to come back to, because I'm going to be doing that. Rogue has some archetypes, like Thief, the Dark Weaver, Predator. When hitting an enemy on lower ground with a ranged weapon, add your proficiency bonus to the damage. Poisonous. And the Shadowcaster, which allows for some light spellcasting, Shadow Dodge, and at level 9, Shadow Retribution. If you're targeted by a damaging spell, whether it damages you or not, you may cast a cantrip in reaction to the caster. It's pretty good. And then, of course, Wizard, you have Arcane Traditions. Once you hit level 3 or 2, you can pick a Shock Arcanist, which gains some very cool abilities. Lore Master, Keen Mind. I did this one in the beta, and it ended up being really useful, honestly. Like, I'm going to miss... I probably won't do it again this time, but I'm really going to miss having advantage. Every time my character has to roll an Arcana, a History, Invest... We were making all of these rolls all the time because I picked a Lore Master. It was really a big deal. It was fun. So we'll see. I haven't decided fully yet, but I'm not going to look too close at that stuff till I actually hit level 2 and 3. Then I'll decide then. Alright, now we're going to focus on Rangers. At level 3, I can focus on Hunter, Marksman, and the Shadow Tamer. I don't know which I'll do. Again, I'll wait till I hit level 3. In the meantime, I was kind of focusing, or hoping to make a longbow dual-wielding type guy who can do both dual-wield and melee if he's unable to escape melee, or go longbow to start the fight off with. As such, these seem like perfectly good starting equipment. I could go leather, but I don't really see any reason to do that. I don't think scale mail lowers my speed or anything. Having 7 base movement and a decent strength, actually, if I go that route, will give her quite a few options, especially for like athletics. Favorite enemy. I guess I'll just stick with Beast for now. I'm not sure. Like, there's a kind of a main enemy type in the game, and I don't know what their type is. So we'll just stick with Beast. I think you can sort of change that when you level up. Natural Explorer. Where do I want to be mostly good at? Probably shouldn't pick the Arctic or the coast, but who knows. I'll just stick with Forest. Okay, so we've done that. Alright, next up, pick a background. I'm going to pick low life because I believe that when you pick the low life, when you pick any of these, I'll click on all of them real quick for you. You can see you get additional languages, you get additional items for what you're proficient with for crafting. Like my wizard, I picked academic, which made him proficient with the Maniculn Rosary, allowing her to craft or enchant items. Alkalites, Aristocrat, Lawkeeper. Start with a few extra goodies there with all this stuff. Low Life, which we'll pick. Philosopher, Sellsword. And all of these, I believe, have a quest associated with them as well. So this is the background for this character, and it will bring up a quest for this background that lines up with what the background is. Like, I would be interested in Spy, for sure. But I do want to have a character who can actually like unlock stuff fairly reliably. So proficient with Thieves' Tools. I think the only other way to be proficient with these tools would be to roll up a rogue character. So since I'm going to go with a ranger, I'm going to pick low life for at least one of my characters, and this is that character. And she will be kind but greedy. Personality background flags. This sort of dictates her personality and her responses in dialogue. You don't choose necessarily dialogue. Your characters have personality that sort of evolves from these choices you make here, which is really interesting and fun. Doesn't always line up great in the early access. We'll see how it goes in the full game. But what they're doing is really groundbreaking in a lot of ways, and I like it. I think it's neat. Okay, so we could move her more into chaos. She's a little more cautious, and maybe a little cynicism in there. Let's move on. And okay, these dice rolls are great. I don't really know for sure if I would need to necessarily like change them. This is actually pretty good. So let's go with dexterity. I do want her to have a decent strength and wisdom, constitution, intelligence, and her charisma. There we go. We did it, guys. All right. Let's see here. Animal handling, insight. I got some insight. She should probably have nature. She gets. By the way, they line these up really nicely. All the skills that are going underneath the stat for the stat that they're presented for. So these are the wisdom skills, and you can see I have a +3 because of my wisdom score being 16, and that means my starting skill bonus is 3 for everything. And if I select it as a class skill, I get +2 proficiency. My proficiency bonus is +2 as a level 1 D&D character. So I will add that proficiency bonus of 2 to whatever I select as a class skill. So I will pick animal handling, so someone's got it. And I guess I'll pick insight. And that's all I can pick. And then I have smithing tools, thieves tools, the armor, and the languages that you... I normally get to pick a few options here, but just because of the character's race and proficiencies and backgrounds, this is just what I get for this particular build. Alright, now we're going to take a look at some different faces. That's actually kind of neat looking. She looks real serious there. She looks sleepy. Let's go with 4. They did a little bit of an art pass on some of these faces, and I think they look pretty good. Some of these look really good. I think this looks really cool. Let's go with something a little distinctive. I have a black-haired character, I have a brown-haired character, and I don't have a blonde. Let's do that. Let's just make it a little bit easier to see who's what. Strongwind. Oh, you know what? I kind of like that name. I think I might just keep that. Let's go with a neat-looking eye color. I don't know. You don't really see the eyes too much during the game. I'll leave all this stuff alone. I believe I'm already using voice 2 female.
You'll die anyway.
Push! Nice jump. Come on, harder.
Yeah. There's 3 female voices. There's 3 male voices. I worked to pick 2 distinct male voices, 2 distinct female voices. So that's what I'm going to go with, just so I don't hear the same character accidentally. Not that it's a huge deal, I suppose. Okay, so that's that. That was 18 minutes. Sorry for rambling a little bit there. I just wanted to show off all the options that are currently in the game. And this should be, like I said, about what the game's character creation looks like. I'm going to put a stop here. And I'm going to... actually, you know what? I'm going to go new adventure. Let's take a look. We'll look at this together. I do want to play in Scavenger Mode. But I forget why. Oh, maybe I'll say in Authentic Mode. I can't remember what Scavenger Mode was for. I thought maybe Scavenger Mode was just that the enemies had more options in combat, but the rules were all still tabletop rules. I think that's what it is. I'm going to stay... You can change this later. I will start with Scavenger Mode, and then if it turns out that the enemies have bonus numbers or stats, I'll bump it back down again. Okay, so let's go with personal. We're going to start with my human, fighter, my cleric, my ranger, and my wizard. There we go. That's the crew that we have here. I'm going to take a little screenshot of that. That might be my thumbnail. Okay, so I think that's good. Let's see if it lets us skip anything. This looks fine. This is some really wonderful art. I wonder who painted that.
Before the Cataclysm, there were no gods on Solasta.
Okay, I'm skipping through that because I just realized I haven't even seen it. And those of you who find this game to be something you're really interested in might want to discover that or see that for the first time on your own. So I will skip through it. And we will dive in. Now this is the start of the tutorial, if I remember right. So they might have just not given us the chance yet.
Donkey piss. Not
So you
that
skip
I'm
it.
complaining.
I do recommend you play the tutorial if you haven't played this game
Is this
before.
a place for the Legacy Council job? Hope I'm not too late.
Ran into a bit of trouble on the way here.
Sit. Relax. Perhaps you'd enjoy a pint of this obnoxious ale.
If you're here for the council job, get in line. Look, if this Lord Karen doesn't show up soon, I may go looking for him.
Another round, barkeeper. 4 of your finest flagons of donkey piss, please.
Looks like you've been waiting here a while.
Indeed. You mentioned something about some trouble. Would you care to elaborate?
Well, I was making my way here when 3 bandits leapt out of the bushes with crossbows. They dragged me off to some decrepit prison and tossed me in a filthy cell that smelled of rat piss. Don't know what was holding the place up.
Okay, well this is the his background's tutorial, and this will teach you things like how to move and that sort of thing. So here's a first look at the game. If you haven't seen this game before, isometric, turn-based, party-based combat. So I'm not going to go through the tutorial here because there's not much to really see, and I've done that before in other videos. So I'm going to put a stop in here, like I said, and I'll play for a little while, and then I'll come back a little further into the game. We'll see how far I get before I decide is a good point to start recording. And then we'll take a look at this final 1.0 version together. And I hope that you guys will enjoy what we have to see here. All right, I will be back in for you half a second. Hey everybody. I know it's only been a few seconds for you, but it's been a day for me. Since we last were recording, and I'll try and put a fade or something in there so it's not quite such a jarring transition. No promises. I have since played a little bit, and I'm now a little further than I was in the last video that I made. I also recorded for about 25 minutes showing off all the stuff I wanted to show off in a whole other area. And, yeah, I wasn't recording. So, I'm going to have to do everything again, and I don't remember for sure what I did, and of course I had already done the fight. I do want to talk about a couple things real quick. First of all, since we last spoke, I went into the settings, and I discovered a couple of fun things. One name requirement requires a focus. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so what I discovered is that I had kind of contemplated a couple things. I should show off honestly, I should just show off the settings. Here's your audio settings. Here's your graphical settings. I have mine set to windowed right now so I can record. And then you have, some other stuff there. Clothes simulation, important characters, depth of field, texture qualities, original resolution. I love the depth of field in this game, actually. And then the game setting, we're going to come back to. The user interface, you can set a couple things here, including, subtitles. Dice, this is a really fun screen that I urge everyone to pop into at some point once they've played the game for a little bit, or even right away. You can set which dice you see. I like seeing the dice rolls, so I have everything set to always show. And then you can set the dice style. So I've got my party, I got disadvantage, I got enemies, dice, and their disadvantage dice, advantage, disadvantage dice. I've got acid, bludgeoning, cold damage, fire damage. I've sort of set, some of these I left as default, some of these I set up my own, on my own. And I think that these are wonderful. I did just notice, though, Nope, this is good. I do want the enemy style dice to match this cool looking like black and gold. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that like that. Okay. Okay, and then that wasn't actually everything I wanted to show. Keyboard, you can do some custom keyboard things here. The game settings are where I wanted to come. We got tutorial stuff. We got some gameplay things you can turn on. I don't like grouped initiative. It's not on by default. I do like random seeds, and so I will not preserve the seed. Meaning, if I, for example, fail a check and I want to try it again because I like to see what might happen, if I reload the game, I might succeed. If you preserve the random seed, then the fact that you failed or succeeded is set in stone, and it'll happen no matter how many times you reload the game. So if that frustrates you, leave this setting off. Some of the stuff you can turn on and turn off is going to impact the tactical challenge in the game. For example, right now, in order to change your spells that you've prepared, you have to be doing a rest. If you turn this off, you'll be able to change settings, change spells up, which sort of trivializes the entire idea, the idea behind preparing spells. So I'm going to leave this on. Camera stuff you can turn around, play with. I do have this set because it was nice sometimes when an action was happening off the screen that the camera would swing to it without me having to do it. You can do a couple other things with showing helmets, how many autosaves you keep, that sort of thing. Now, the thing I want to talk about, difficulty. I had wondered about Scavenger Mode, and because Scavenger Mode lets the AI play with their toys more, and I like that. However, I discovered by coming here that Scavenger Mode also gives enemies more health and bonuses to a couple things like enemy saving throws and attack rolls. Just like a point. Not a huge deal, but I guess a little bit of a purist, I like, at least my first playthrough, I want the enemies and me to be as the rules are written. But I did like, I wanted to show this off, you can do a custom difficulty and you can make any changes you like, including turning on the very deadlier AI that Scavenger Mode introduces, which makes them use more powerful moves more frequently. They'll use shove, things like that. I did turn off Merciless AI because I think this is an interesting way to make the game more challenging, but at the same time, it's tactically disadvantaged. It's not tactically advantaged. What I'm trying to say. Tactically speaking, attacking a character who's already down isn't actually the smartest move, because that character's already not going to do anything. It's better if the AI focuses on the enemies that are standing. You wouldn't, for example, crowd control a target, and now he's out of the fight with like a hold person spell, and then start focusing on him exclusively while there's other enemies still doing things. You wouldn't do it. The only reason the AI does it here as an option is to hurt you as a player later, because of the way, like, trying to raise a dead character might cost money or resources. So it's actually going to make the game, I think, a little more challenging and interesting if the AI, once it drops my wizard, moves on to focus on the rest of the characters and doesn't just go after the wizard more and more and more, ignoring my healthy characters that are still up. So we're going to turn that off for that reason. Let's see here, and then auto revive is a nice feature if you aren't really maybe super great at these games and you're finding your characters dropping and reloading the game a lot because you've lost the character and you don't want to have to like figure out how to raise them, take them back to town and and try and pay a temple or a priest to get them back up. You can turn this option on, and for some people playing this game, maybe turning some of this stuff on, like auto revive, is going to make the game more fun and less frustrating. So by all means, play however you want, whatever makes it fun for you. That's true for a lot of these other ones here. You need food to travel over land. You need rations. They're very cheap. You can get them, but if you don't get them and you get unlucky with your hunting rolls, or don't have like a ranger in the party to get easy food while you're traveling, this is a good option. Max health while resting, doing short rests and spending dice to heal. You can get maximum rolls in the dice, maximum level up hit points. I mean, this sort of thing you can just sort of play with as you wish. It's just, I'm showing it off because it's available. Concentration, if you take damage while you're maintaining a spell, there's a chance you could lose the spell if you fail the concentration check. You could turn that off. I'm leaving a lot of this stuff on because, again, the tactical combat to me is more interesting than any other aspect of the game. Diluting the tactical combat is going to dilute the game overall for me. I do have a couple of nice quality of life things turned on, like Karmic Dice. I like this. And I do also like rerolling exploration checks because I'm the kind of guy who, if I come up on a chest that's locked and I unlock it and fail, and I can no longer attempt the lock, it's going to drive me mad not knowing what's in that chest. I'm going to reload the game every single time. This is a great option for people like me. I can just keep trying until I succeed. It's great. And then the benefits of having a high skill will be I don't have to try very many times. It'll just take 1 or 2 and I'll be getting in. So there's still reason for me to focus on exploring, improving my character's ability to unlock chests. But on the same token, I'm not going to auto-detect traps, and I'm not going to make it so I don't require tools, or that I can't fail crafting rolls, things like that. So I think that's everything. And now the encumbrance I skipped past to come back to. Last thing I want to mention is encumbrance. The default is your characters can carry up to 15 times strength, but anything above 5 times strength and they're encumbered. And 10 times they're heavily encumbered. I just started playing this first map, looted a bunch of stuff, and was already lightly encumbered with my main character who's got an 18 in strength. So, I don't want to deal with not being able to carry the things I want to carry. I'm not saying I should be able to carry like 13 short swords and 7 pieces of leather armor. And there is a whole scavenger guild in the game that you can talk to, and they will, as a service, go to the locations you've been to, scavenge all the stuff you didn't loot, bring it back, and you get like a good chunk of the money and can review what you have missed and then pick up stuff you want and then get money for the rest of the stuff you don't want. It's a very cool feature. There's no reason to play, for example, Simplified, which is effectively no limit. You can just pick up whatever you want. So I'm going to go with Tabletop because I like that there's a cap on how much I can carry. I don't like that there's varying amounts of like stages of being encumbered. Well, I mean that makes sense, obviously, but I don't want to deal with it. I just don't. I don't. Okay, so that's that. Oh, by the way, that looks like this. So now he can carry up to 340 pounds, and it doesn't matter how much he gets up to. If you have the first option checked, you've got no encumbrance, light encumbrance, and then heavy encumbrance. Okay, so that's that. Let's move forward. And I think this is the first place we're trying to get to is we lost contact. Excuse me. First place we're trying to get to is we lost contact with this outpost, and we're trying to figure out what happened. So I'm going to walk around here and explore a little bit. I'm not seeing anything. While I'm walking around, I want to point out a couple things. I really, really like this game's look, the aesthetic feel. I know that there's going to probably be some folks who bash it for being, I don't know, not very visually appealing, but to me this is very visually appealing. I love the soft colors, the textures, the vibrant greens. The user interface to me is really well done. They do a really good job of making it useful and nice looking. Icons like that Warhammer, potions, this armor, it all, I think this looks fantastic. I'm a big fan. So let's see here. Here we go, cutscene.
There's definitely been fighting here.
Why did we take this job again? Oh yes, these lovely council badges.
This is no time for jokes. Right, whoever did this could still be around, and we don't want them hearing us.
We should look for survivors. 50 people can't just vanish.
What the heck was that?
Someone's hiding inside the tower.
It's a trap. The goblins killed everyone, and now it's our turn.
Or they're the survivors, and they're being cautious.
We need to get up to that door.
If they slaughtered the garrison, they'll pay.
Back off! No closer!
Who's there?
We're not letting you in!
And we're not coming out!
Is Captain Henrik there? We need to talk to him.
Don't you dare speak his name, you filthy bastard!
Don't talk to them!
They'll cast a spell on you.
Don't touch me!
Clearly their distressing experience has affected their reason. Let's get to the door. Maybe if they can see us up close, we can show them our council badges.
Okay, now that was our first look at a cutscene, a real cutscene. And I wanted to point out a couple quick things. First of all, you may have noticed, if you go to character or inventory, you can see the personality that I picked earlier. For example, slang, which is very weighted, where he likes to use vulgar language, pragmatism, cynicism. All the lines that were spoken in that scene, some of those lines are probably, for sure always said, like asking for the captain. But a lot of the lines are based on these personality traits. Again, I think that's a really cool idea. Now, the other thing worth mentioning is that I know some people have mentioned on some of the places online that I like to go to that they think that the voice acting is poor. I disagree. I think this is not amazing voice acting, but I think it's very serviceable and quite good. I think it's quite good. Now, I also this style of like cutscenes, voice work, that sort of thing, it's not really the strong point of the game, for sure. The tale being told here is interesting from what I remember of my time with the Early Access. This is a world I've never been in before, this world of Solasta. This is interesting, and they do some good jobs. They do a good job of some of the world building, and I would urge people to sort of enjoy that part of the game if they like it and get into it. But we're probably get into a fight here, I believe, pretty soon, and that's where I really dig this.
Everybody freeze.
Ooh, we got some traps here. Let's try and disable this trap. My ranger. Oh, she failed. She had disadvantage on that roll because of scale mail. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Her scale mail armor is making that a tougher job. Okay, so let's take a look at this here. She has scale mail armor, stealth disadvantage. Okay. Alright, here's what we're going to do. Before I go any further, I believe back where I was fighting these goblins. This is a bit of a hike, I realize, but it's worth it, I think. Actually, I guess I'll just have just her do it. Let's have just her go down here. I think this goblin that was standing on this ledge here had... Oh, here's one zoom closer. I think they had leather armor. Oh, I didn't even loot this guy. Okay, let's keep going. No, what'd I do with it? I had looted a bunch of it and I dropped it. Shoot. I wonder where I dropped it. Well, when you roll up your character, if you roll up a ranger and do what I did, make sure you pick leather armor to start the game with. If you want to be disabling stuff. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it. I don't know what happens when you click drop on something. It might just go into nothing or just become like a thing that you can get back when you loot from the or when the scavenger guild comes through. Okay. Alright, that's fine. We're gonna have to just play this one out with jumping. That's okay. That's what part of the game is the verticality of the maps allows for jumping and such. Probably have to let's have the fighter go in first. Move this out of the way. So we can highlight everybody. Get everybody over here. Okay. Oh! Battle has started. Both these guys rolled nothing for initiative. That's not great. Oh, what's this thing? Brimstone Viper. Oh! Did he save? Yeah, he did save against it. I do like this log. Color coded. Alright. There's a lot of these guys, and they get to go right down. Okay, success. Alright, here we go. Ooh, had a bit of a hiccup there. My recording stopped, and I had to re-record. Well, I had to get back into the game and re-record, and didn't realize that my microphone was not working. So I recorded this last little bit of the video without knowing I was recording nothing, microphone-wise. So I'm gonna narrate this last little bit after the fact, and what we're talking about here is I'm trying to decide if I should cast Thunder Wave. The problem with Thunder Wave, of course, is I don't know if it's going to hit my characters or not. I should probably test it, because it's information I need to know. I'm pretty certain Thunder Wave is going to blast even my allies, and it's going to push them away for a couple of spaces, make them roll saves for damage. Because I have casting it as a Warlist spell, it's going to be cast at 3d8 damage for me, and that's going to be a real problem for my characters. So I ultimately decide that I should focus on what's around me. So I'm looking to see, I don't even know at this point yet how many of these Vipers there are. These Brimstone Vipers. And I believe what you can do is click on the initiative bar, which I'll do here in a little bit after I realize there's just no way to hit more than one guy at a time with Thunder Wave without hitting my own fighter. These three are next to me. They're the ones that ran up to me right away, and then the thing crashed and I lost track of what was happening. And then we've got three more. There's 6 total opponents I need to sort of figure out. So, and also you're always thinking about this in the back of your head when you're playing a game like this, Solasta in particular, D&D in particular. You only have so many resources before you need to, like, rest. And Solasta does a good job of keeping you on your toes because there's only certain points on a map where you can rest. So you're kind of fighting your way to a campfire, a little bit like Dark Souls, I guess. And you're trying to get there without blowing through all of your resources, but you also, at the same time, need to use them to make the fights manageable in some cases. Now, these 6 Vipers are not crazy. They really aren't super tough. Ultimately, I decided to cast Sleep here, which works. In fact, it works really well because it puts these two asleep. This one in the south part here falls and takes falling damage and wakes himself back up again, which is obviously not ideal, but it was a neat detail. I thought that was a really cool detail. The level of detail on how the spells and how the abilities and how the creatures work and interact with the environment, gravity, for example, is part of what makes this game, the tactical combat, the best part of this game. It's such a fantastic piece. Alright, now I'm going to realize that a bow here makes no sense, so I'm going to switch to my dual-wielding short swords, and I'm going to smack this guy and do a little more to him because he's a favorite enemy, Beast. And then I'm going to attack with my second offhand attack and kill 2 Brimstone Vipers with my Ranger. She is... My Ranger that I had in Early Access was such a monster. I really like that character, and that's why I made a similar character this time. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this can do in the full version. And then I get missed thanks to thanks to the very armor that made me fail my trap detection, or trap disarming. I'm gonna get back in the game and probably... Oh, this is that little green plus means I have advantage on the attack roll. That's because it's asleep. So I get to roll 2 dice and pick the best result. I'm gonna probably take her armor off when I disarm these traps later on. Now here my cleric is gonna go. I don't want to make him go all the way down there and then have to come all the way back up again. So I'm going to instead cast Sacred Flame, a cantrip, meaning it doesn't take a spell slot. I can cast as much as I want. Sacred Flame does a die 8 radiant damage, but a saving throw, dexterity saving throw, negates the damage completely. But because he is a Sun Cleric, the Brimstone Viper is going to have to roll 2 dice at disadvantage and take the worst result. I will discover later on that they have +4 to their dexterity save, which is not crazy. The DC is it's 14, meaning the difficulty class. Further meaning you have to roll a 14 to succeed. So they roll a die 20, they add 4. In this case, they succeeded because they rolled like 11 and a 12 and picked the 11 is the worst. That's still plenty. But you know, having to roll a 10 to succeed when you have to roll 2 dice and pick the lowest result, that's pretty good odds that I'm going to be able to hit this guy. So I'll do it later. Ray of Frost hinders full damage and smacks him. Doesn't use one of my precious spell slots. And then I think she pulls her bow out here. Yep. Pull the old bow out. Get that done. And critically missed. That's right, she critically missed. I remember now. Swing and a miss from the Viper. And then it nimbly gets away because it can attack and still move away without me drawing an attack of opportunity against it. I pull my crossbow out and finish him off with my fighter. He's got a crossbow armed. It's good to have every character have a ranged weapon option, and the game starts you off with that. For I think every character has a ranged weapon option. And here's me looking to see what its dexterity was, because if it had like a +6 or +7 to dexterity, and the DC was like 12 or whatever, I didn't know what the DC was, then it's probably not worth my time to try. Just pull my crossbow and try and shoot it. But like I said, needing to roll 10 on 2 die 20, pick the worst. Pretty good odds on this thing. And I do want to kill it.
Prevail.
Very good. And then there's only one left. And I forget how I finished this all. Yep, I get actually poison right there. I fail my save, so I get poison. And then a Ray of Frost comes up here. When I level my wizard up again, I'm going to crush options. So Ray of Frost is good, but I like to have a couple of cantrips to use. So we succeed, and then I show off the bestiary, which I love in this game. I like how it works, making this, I think it's survival checks after the fight's over to learn more about the opponents. I do completely forget to loot, and I will have to walk back and do that. So for now, I think I'm thinking about casting healing spell on my warrior. I realize I'm only down to 1 spell slot. A lot of this game is all about managing to get to the next campfire, and so I don't want to spend all my resources just yet, just in case there's another fight coming. Solasta does a really good job of the counter design. They don't throw like, you know, you're not fighting like 50 enemies like a Pathfinder kind of game. Pathfinder Kingmaker, you're fighting a ton of enemies constantly. Every fight is, or it's not just every fight. You're fighting like a few guys here, a few guys there, 12 guys here, 12 guys there. There's a lot of guys. This is independent, bite-sized combats, a little bit like XCOM, I guess, in some ways. And you know, you only have so many fights that you have to deal with before you're able to, generally speaking, recover and rest. So it's like the game design feels like they want you to play with your tools, all your toys you've got, your spells and abilities, and don't go crazy every single fight, because there's always a tougher fight coming up. You know, but also don't worry too much about it either. Alright, so I think I'm about ready to wrap up the video here. I just want to show off how easy it is to navigate the environment, because the characters know what they're doing. I mean, you might notice, for example, when a character falls. Oh, that's right, I forgot there's this altar here I didn't notice. So I investigate the altar. One of my characters here will make some comments about it.
I believe this was called a minor Imperial gate.
Succeed an Arcana check. Very cool.
At its height, the Manicalan Empire had countless gates like this to magically travel through the Empire.
I don't suppose it still works.
Some say there are still functioning gates.
And this plaque? Any value?
A little foreshadowing here.
Maybe. The Tower of Knowledge? Why not?
And there you go, a little bit of world building, which I think is a nice touch. So, yeah, so they do a good job of being able to just click on a destination and your characters make their athletic checks as needed. This can be tricky in combat. You can generally make a jump and get there, but then if you fail a roll, you might end up prone, for example. So, okay, so I'm going to move forward into the next phase of the main story. There's a nice little tutorial there about elevation. But I believe the video is about ready to wrap up here, so I'm going to wrap it up my narration. And thank you for watching to this point. I appreciate the support. I'm glad you guys watched this far, if you did. And I hope you like this video, and I hope you love Solasta as much as I do. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.